Spice, spice, baby, pumpkin spice, spice, baby. It's pumpkin time, and I'm back with a pumpkin rhyme. And I'm back with the chunky pumpkins. Hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Thomas, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make what I call the chunky pumpkins. They are super easy to make and super fast to make. And what's special about it is that I'm going to make the big ones here with tripled yarn, a super cool trick to make chunky yarn out of not chunky yarn, basically. And like that, you can make your chunky pumpkins super easy and super fast in no time, and you have such a cute chunky pumpkin. Last year I made quite a few of those pumpkins, as you can see in the back, and this year, since I have my channel, I would share with you my version of the chunky pumpkins. Now with the face and the mouth, which is completely optional. Feel free to leave it away if you just want to have a regular pumpkin like this or this. Make them in any color you like. There's even stripy ones. And of course, a tiny pride one. They all work the same easy and super fast way. So join in, make yourself some pumpkins, and let's get to it. So here's what you need to make yourself one of my chunky pumpkins. First up, of course, the yarn. I have some super cheap orange yarn right here. I have to be completely honest, I bought this in the supermarket because I think for items like this, I would probably not use the most expensive yarn, so you can always get a cheap one from the supermarket or the craft store. It doesn't have to be something special, and it's a DK quality or a DK size of yarn. And I also have some green that I had from previous projects. Then, of course, the yarn needle. For this chunky tutorial, I'm going to use an 8mm crochet hook, and I'm going to show you just in a bit how to triple this rather thin yarn into a chunky yarn. Of course, you can always make the whole tutorial and the whole pumpkin with the regular yarn. When you use a DK yarn, you can go with a 4mm hook. That is absolutely fine. And then you would get like a regular size version like those two pumpkin friends. And for this tutorial, we are going to make the chunky version. Then, of course, some safety eyes. I got some new ones, some bigger ones from Amazon, because otherwise it would look a bit weird when you have such a big pumpkin and then only have smaller eyes. You can find lots of safety eyes on Amazon, and you get packs like this with different sizes. So go ahead, they are not very expensive. Then, of course, some scissors and a yarn needle to sew in the ends, and we are good to go. So let's start by showing you how to make chunky yarn out of basically every yarn that you have, which is such a cool trick, because I usually have quite a lot of extra yarn in DK quality, and sometimes I want to use more chunky yarn, so in the end I don't have to buy chunky yarn, I can make my own chunky yarn. And what we are going to do is that we are going to take out quite a bit of our yarn. Now I got a yarn baby, woohoo. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make a chunky yarn out of this regular sized yarn. And for that, I'm going to take quite a huge amount of yarn out. Then I'm going to fold the yarn. So now I double it right until I reach the end of the yarn. Then I'm going to take this and fold the yarn. So I then have 3 yarn strands. I'm going to do this all the way until I'm at the end. Here it is. So this part here with the yarn strand that goes to the yarn ball is going to be our main yarn to work in. And then around almost in the middle of the 3 yarn strands, I'm going to make a slip knot, just like this, because now I'm going to start with an I-cord of 20 stitches. If you don't like to do the I-cord, feel free to make a simple chain, and instead of chaining just 20, make sure to chain 21, and the last chain element is then the turning stitch for your first round. But of course, I'm going to proceed with the I-cord. So I'm wrapping around the end part of the yarn from the front and then the other part from the back, and make my I-cord of 20 stitches for 20. Here we go. The I-cord with 20 stitches. I still have quite a few left from my end yarn, but it doesn't matter, we can hide it later on in the pumpkin. And now we turn our work, because now we are going to start our first round, and all the rounds are completely the same, so it's a 1 round repeat. So it's quite simple. And the first thing we do is that we are going to start with a single crochet in our first stitch right here, and we are also only going to do that in the back loop only. So each stitch that we do is going to be placed in the back loop only, and we start with a single crochet, and we are also going to end with a single crochet. So the first and the 20th stitch are always a single crochet. All the stitches in between are half double crochets in the back loops only. So you yarn over, go in the back loop, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of the loops on your hook. I'll show it again. Here we go. And we do this right until our loop comes up here, the one that we folded before. And here comes now the trick, because now you might think the triple yarn is over. It's not. We are just going to get our yarn through that loop, and we just pull it as long as you can. I'm going to use the full length of my arm basically, and like that I can just continue with the triple yarn. So whenever you feel like that loop is coming, just stop a sec and grab the yarn and pull it through. I'm going to make the first round with you so you can see the next time when the loop is coming. And I think it's just such a cool trick. And I also like the texture of the tripled yarn, because it's definitely something different. It's very cozy and fluffy. So all half double crochets in our back loops. The first round can always be a bit tight, but once you have it, it's going to be super easy, and it really is such a fun and fast project. So now I can feel the loop coming. It's right here. You can also stop in the middle of the half double crochet, and now again we take our yarn through and pull it out to always have our triple yarn. Now I have 2 stitches left, and the second to last is of course a half double crochet, and in the very last stitch, just like I did it with the first one, we make just a single crochet, and that's it, the first round. Now we are going to turn our work and to do the exact same thing. So we go in the same stitch, you don't have to chain, and go in the back loop, grab the yarn, pull it through, and make a single crochet. And then we have 18 half double crochets all along, always in the back loops. And that last one is always a single crochet. And here you can also see the structure of it. I absolutely love the structure because it's so simple yet so beautiful. Here you get like a beautiful pattern in the front, and by always just using the back loops, you also get this ruffled effect like you have it here, which then of course gives the typical pumpkin structure. And this is basically it. Like that you can continue until you have the size that you like. Of course, if you want to have your pumpkin bigger, then instead of 20, make 25 or 30. If you want to have it wider or with a bigger diameter, it really depends on how many rounds you're going to do. In my example here with this pumpkin, I'm going to make 30 rounds in total. So in the end, when you see 15 of those peaks here, then you know you made 30 rounds. And this is where I'll meet you to sew the pumpkin together, to add the eyes, add the mouth, and also to add the filling, which I think I forgot while telling you what the supplies are. But you of course will find it in the description. So I'll see you once you have made it to round 30 and all the rounds are the same. You turn your work, don't chain, go in the back loop, start with a single crochet, and then continue with double crochets all along until you have 1 stitch left, and in the last stitch we do another single crochet. And once you reach the loop, don't forget to pull that yarn through so that you always have the chunky triple yarn. Alright, so here's where I am. Now I have 15 of these bumps, and as you can see, it already folds up a little bit to get into the shape of a pumpkin. And this is mainly because of the single crochets in the beginning and the end of each round. So it already shapes it a little bit. which is exactly what we need. And now we can cut the yarn off, leave a little bit of a longer tail in the end, and yarn over and pull the yarn through. Now, before sewing the beginning and the end together and then creating the final shape of the chunky pumpkin, I'm going to make the face first. And the first thing I'm going to do is to get myself some eyes. Here we go. And there are also these little stoppers that I can use to hold the eyes where I want them to have them. And I'm going to simply put them somewhere towards the middle. Here maybe. And the other one I'm going to place here. I'm not sure if they are on the same height, but to be honest, they don't have to. And once I have them in here, I can then just place the stopper and push it in. And the same thing I do with the other eye. So they are in place. Here we go. The eyes are there. Next up is going to be the mouth. And for that, I'm going to take black yarn. I just realized that I completely forgot about the black as well. During the part of the video where I showed you the supplies. And now I'm going to triple the black yarn as well. So I'm going to take a little bit of it out and then just fold the yarn and cut it right here. And now I'm going to take my yarn needle, and now I'm just going to stitch the mouth in. And for this, I'm going to make a very simple one. I'm not an expert in terms of making amigurumi mouths for plushies. Not at all. So I'm pretty sure you're much more advanced on this if you have made a few amigurumis before. So I'm just going to sew that in and add some stitches here and there to create the mouth. Let's see how that works. And what's important is that you don't drag on the yarn that much. So that it still keeps its shape. So how's this for a mouth? It looks quite funny, actually. But that's all right with me. let's add another one here, like this. I mean, this definitely looks like Halloween to me. So I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to just take the yarn back to the beginning and just make a simple double knot in there, because in the end this part of the pumpkin will not be visible. So now I even made a triple knot, which is fine as well, and I'm just going to cut it off a little bit. So let's see how my chunky pumpkin looks. I like it. It's much better than this one. This one looks a bit sad, I think, and the mouth is a bit too low. This one now looks way more like this one, this cutie here. So I think that's all right. And now we are going to fold the inside to the outside, basically. And I'm going to take my end yarn again on my yarn needle, because now we are going to sew both of the parts together. And this is quite simple and quite easy, because we are just going from one side to the other side. And from stitch to stitch. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. You can then also drag on it a little bit. Have I been into this stitch? I don't really know. And once you're at the end, we can then flip again. Make sure that the seam is tight. As you can see, you almost see nothing where the seam is. And now, without doing anything, we are already sewing together the bottom part. And for that, you can always see those loops here from the stitches. And I'm just going along underneath these loops. Until you're at the end. Here's where we started. And now you just have to drag on the yarn end and pull everything together. And now I'm also going to go through a stitch on the opposite side, just so that it holds everything a bit more together. And now we are going to place the yarn and the yarn needle right in the middle and pull it through, because we later on need it. And we can also press on it a little bit. And here we are. Here's the pumpkin. It even has quite a funny form right now, but this will definitely change once we have completed our next step, which would be to add the filling. And usually what I do is that I'm going to like tear it apart a little bit, and then I'm just going to add the filling in there, and always making sure that my end yarn that we just pulled through is like filled around. Sorry for touching the camera all the time and shaking it. And we are just going to fill that pumpkin up. Some more filling. And here. And I usually don't fill it up to the max, mainly because when you fill it up too much, then the whole structure of the crochet will get lost a little bit. But like this, gosh, I do love this so much, this face. It's so fun. I will add a little bit more right here. And I think we are good to go, because now we are going to use the end yarn from the beginning, not this one, and put it on our yarn needle. And now we do the exact same thing like we did with the bottom. We are just going through those side stitches here all along underneath the last loop here, and then again same thing, pull everything together to close it. So now we have this yarn end here, and we have the one that basically comes from the bottom, and I'm just going to drag on that to get my pumpkin even more in shape, and then I hold it and make a knot, a double knot on top, and like that it keeps the shape like a pumpkin. Here we go. Here's the face. Such a cutie. And now I'm going to hide my yarn ends on the inside by just pulling them a little bit through. And once I have them, because we already made the knot, so it's not necessary to sew them in super accurately. And here we do the same thing. Where are we here? And once you have it, cut it off. And our pumpkin, our chonky pumpkin is almost done. I love how this part here even looks like eyebrows, and as if there's something from the brain missing. So now the last thing to do is to add the green thing on top. To be honest, I have no idea what this is called in English. So if you can tell me how this is called in English, please tell me in the comments. Otherwise, I will just refer to the green top, the green thing on top. And to make this, we are going to take some green, and we are again tripling the yarn. Like this. And right somewhere in the middle, I make a slip knot. And then what I'm going to do is to start with an I-cord again, a very short one with just 4 stitches or 5 stitches. That is completely up to you. I will make 4. Like that. And then I'm going to make first I'm going to pull the loop or the yarn through the loop to triple it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work, and now I'm making a very easy and very simple Tunisian crochet green part. That's how I made all the other ones as well, and I think it's much easier than chaining and making single crochets and whatever. So the way how to do this, you don't need a special hook. You go into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull it through, then go into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, and into the last stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through. Now you have 4 loops on your hook, and then we make the return pass. So you yarn over and pull through just 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we continue. In the next round we go in front or underneath this front bar here, yarn over and pull the yarn up, then behind the next front bar, yarn over and pull the yarn up, and then we are going in that side stitch right here underneath both of the loops, and again yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And this you can basically do until you have reached the height of the green thing on top. I will just make a few rounds because this time I don't want to have it that extra big like on the one that I have here. And for me, I think this goes super fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have 5 like this. Maybe let's go with 6. Here we go. And now what we do is we cut the yarn, and then we are also going to go through that side stitch here. It doesn't have to be super accurate because we are just going to close it like this, yarn over again and pull the yarn through, and here we go. So now what we are going to do is to hide that piece of end yarn somewhere along the side. And then we also just go somewhere through. And then we can cut this one here already. And now for the last part, we are just going to attach it very easily to our pumpkin by going somewhere in there, just like this. Pull it through. Like that. And then usually I'm just going through some, or taking some from some stitches from the green thing and just connecting it to the pumpkin. As I mentioned before, it's really a simple way to do it. I mean, you don't have to like put whatever on there, and you will later on also you won't like, I mean, if you want to hang it, you can definitely hang it somewhere, but usually it's absolutely okay to sew it in a super simple way. And once you're done, I'm not even making a knot. I'm just going to pull the yarn end somewhere through. It should be all right. And cut it. And your chunky pumpkin is done. So super easy, super simple. You can always push a little bit so that the filling then goes where you want it to be. Here you have the green thing on top in a very simple way. And with the Tunisian crochet, it also folds up a little bit, which I think makes it even cuter. And here we go. Here are the chunky pumpkins. Here's the smiley one. My chunky pumpkin friends and I say thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun making these little cute chunky pumpkins. And we hope to see you again next time for the next chapter of our Halloween tutorials. And make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss them. See you. Bye.